All right, next question says, should we inform you if we're cutting or gaining weight? Have you found any outcomes from being in a caloric surplus or deficit that it impacts training? You don't have to inform me if you're cutting weight. It doesn't drive any changes to the training that you should do, at least not at this time. The issue with cutting weight is that it might lead to reductions in your perceived recovery level, and that could impact training. So as long as you're keeping up on your track scores, it shouldn't be a big deal. Now, bulking and cutting can and probably will affect your training outcomes, though. So I wanted to show you this. This data comes from our recent Project Momentum. So kind of talk around it here. We've got two columns here. Well, we had three different reported conditions. People said that they were either gaining weight, maintaining their weight, or losing weight. So the middle column here is the average gain on their total in kilos. And you'll see that on average, people that were gaining weight were doing better than the people that were maintaining, and the people that were maintaining did better than the people who were losing. And that seems to be fairly reasonable, Now, what you can see here is the magnitude of the impact. Now, on the average, it was a pretty dramatic impact. Now, it wasn't dramatic for everybody, but the average result was notable, to say the least. Now, keep in mind that these results occurred after only 8 weeks. Now, I also included in the far column there the median values, and you can see that the people that were gaining, the median value was 30 kilos, but the median value for the maintaining group was actually less than the median value for the losing group. So what does that mean? Well, let me show you. I wanted to show you a graph, but I don't have a real great way of showing it to you, so I'm gonna unfortunately have to show you this graph on my phone. So this is what we're looking at. Now, the far left column, the one closest to the axis, is the losing group. The middle series of blue dots is the maintaining group, and the far series of blue dots is the gaining group. Now, what you'll notice, got that right, don't I? Yeah, I do. What you'll notice is that there does seem to be a trend that people tend to do a bit better, as as they're getting more and more calories. But if you'll look at how the blue dots aggregate around the middle, you'll see that basically what you're doing by going into a caloric surplus is increasing your chance of being an outlier. So if you are losing weight, you might and probably will do just fine if you're losing weight in a reasonable way. But there's a chance that if you're in a severe caloric deficit, or if you, for whatever reason, don't respond physiologically very well to the weight cut that you're doing, that you could be an outlier on the low end of the response, and that of course will be bad. And as you increase your calories, you're kind of increasing the likelihood that you would be an outlier on the high end of the response. So that's that's basically kind of how it goes. If you're having, and I would say we don't have any data on the magnitude of how much people were trying to gain weight or how hard they were cutting, but I would suspect that plays a pretty big role. So if you're gaining weight really hard or cutting weight really, really hard, it's more likely to have a more dramatic impact. But if you're making smaller changes to your diet, then chances are you're going to be kind of typically, a more typical responder. So kind of a long way around to saying this, but bulking, maintaining, or cutting doesn't really drive any changes to your training. It could drive responses to your training. To mitigate that, you should do it in a smart and gradual way. And I think that's going to allow you to see, your best results over time.